Hi guys, it's Cyrus of Chaos. I'm here with Will Deary and Barnaby Halliwell, and I'm talking to two of them today because both of them decided that they wanted to leave the United Kingdom to increase the level of their training. And so today we're going to be talking to them about why they did that. So, can you guys each tell me about how you started fencing? Just walk me through your little journey and why you chose saber instead of the other weapons. And Barney, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I started fencing when I was 10 because my older brother started fencing when he went to secondary school, and I kind of watched him. I thought it looked fun. So I joined in when I was 10, and then 10 years later, here I am still fencing sabre. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, mine was a kind of similar story. When I was like 8 or 9, I moved down to Cornwall, which is where the club I'm from, Truro Fencing Club, is. And yeah, basically, when I joined the school, I had no idea what fencing was, and my mum said like, "Oh, why don't you give fencing a go?" I mean, I tried everything at school, so yeah, gave fencing a go. Really loved it. All my friends were in like the better category than I was, and so I tried pretty hard. Like, got there, managed to beat a few of them, and just like fell in love with the sport from there. And yeah, like they did offer foil and FA, but it just wasn't in my. Yeah, I don't know. Sabre was for me. The aggressiveness of sabre was there, so that's why I chose it.
Yeah, and I always found it to be a lot more fun. I actually my first class was a foil class because it was the only day that my dad could bring me to fencing, and I knew I wanted to do saber from the start when I looked it up. And after like 4 weeks of my 8 week foil class, I was like, I hate this, and I need to be switched to the other one, or like that's gonna be it for me. So I'm really glad that happened. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I tried the others, just had no love with them.
yeah.
I can't imagine either of you being anything other than sabres. That's the thing.
No, me neither.
No, definitely not you.
So you left the UK to go to Germany, and you left the UK to go to Hungary. Do you guys want to talk about some of the reasons that you wanted to leave and some of the reasons that you chose those specific countries?
Yeah, so I left in like the season that the Olympic qualifying was starting, and like I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with London, or like I just felt like I wasn't improving necessarily. I was just kind of maintaining a level, and I realised it at the European Championships last year when I just fenced with like all the European guys in the pool, and I just didn't feel sharp enough there, and just felt like, man, these guys are just like, I don't know, out bullying me. I was like, something needed to change then. So then, yeah, I had a look around. I had a look at like the countries that I could be interested in, like Hungary, Italy, I don't know, like Germany, obviously. And then for me, I had a look at like my style, how I didn't really want it to change too much for the Olympic season. Just wanted to get sharper. And so, yeah, Germany was quite an easy choice. I knew all the guys quite well, and they were very welcoming. So for me, it was a very good decision to go there.
Yeah, that's great. And you, Barney?
Yeah, well, after my first season as junior, and I just finished school, I kind of knew that I wanted to technically get better. That's the thing that was my priority. And I guess having contacts, Peter Frolik in Hungary made it quite an easy choice. The Hungarians are one of the best technically, and he was able to set me up with a good club. So I guess it's quite an easy choice.
Yeah, and I know that in private conversations I've had with you guys, the UK doesn't really have like a centralized strongest club. So there's like a strong club in London. There's one in Truro, which is like a 6-hour drive away. And I know that Will's told me how expensive it is living in London. So just kind of it was all those factors together.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah, definitely.
there's like a big, like it's in America as well, but everyone wants to go to university in England. And there are some, there are good universities in London, but there's also good universities not in London. And so,
Yeah.
a lot of time when people finish school, London isn't necessarily they're like, oh, I want to be in London for school or whatever. So that's the other problem. Like everyone's scattered away, and
So it makes it
if
even
we
more.
had, like,
It makes it even more decentralized.
exactly, yeah. And if we had like a centralized program and they were paying for everyone to come in together, like people wouldn't mind. But yeah, like how expensive London is definitely like detracts from people wanting to go there, and you still got to pay for all the competitions because we're not getting our competitions paid for. So when you factor in London rent, London like food prices, and going away on competitions, a lot of people don't want to go there. So it's understandable why we're
without a doubt.
all over it. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
In the US, it's actually kind of the opposite. Even though there is no like central training program, if you want to be a really strong saber fencer, the Northeast is a place to be. It used to be New York City specifically. So if you were a really strong fencer, you would look at schools in that area. And now Boston has become somewhat like that too. But it's very much the opposite of that. Like everyone just congregates in New York City, which it kind of is like a self-fulfilling prophecy because it's already so strong that the strong people want to go there, and it makes it really hard to succeed anywhere else. So yeah. It's interesting. You said you wanted to change your technique, but a lot of, like the big thing that a lot of people have, like the reservation they have when they're changing coaches or changing locations, is that they don't want their fencing level to drop. So how did you, especially when you change your technique, that's like a big concern to people. So how did you deal with that?
Well, my fencing kind of dropped off slightly, like the level, when I sort of focused more on the technique. But once my new coach and I sort of figured a way to sort of integrate my old fencing and, the technical side of my new fencing, that's when, we found a level that worked.
Yeah.
And that's the fencing that, got me my best results. Definitely.
I'm gonna ask you the question again in a second, but one of the things I like about the Hungarian style that might work for other people who are in that same position is that they don't, at least in my experience, they don't teach a ton of strategy. It's like the huge emphasis is on technique. It's like, I'm gonna give you the tools to do what you want, and then you can just do whatever you want to do. So it shouldn't drastically affect your ability to play your game. They're just giving you the tools to be able to play it better.
Yeah, sharpening it.
Yeah, totally.
Pretty much.
And you, same thing. How were you? Why were you worried? You said you weren't that much, but like, why not?
Well, I just knew that. First of all, I knew the German style was like somewhat similar to how I fenced anyway, and I thought like I had a lot of belief that if they tried to change something, it would be for the good. They're not going to try and make me a worse fencer. Mm-hmm. So like the small changes they made have worked out quite well for me. But it wasn't like I went there and said like I want my whole fencing reconstructed or anything. And they knew that before I went there. And we had a conversation with everyone like, I'm not trying to become a German fencer. I'm just trying to become sharper and like help you guys out by being another body to train with, and helping me out by making me feel sharper and and getting better that way. And a lot of it I noticed when like the first 2 months I was there, I think we maybe only did free fencing like 3 or 4 times. It was just like pairs exercises for 2 months, and just doing that for the first 2 months I felt so much better. And it was just like I hadn't experienced something like that before, where it was just like exclusively like partner work for 2 months, but it worked quite well for me. The first competition was good, so.
Yeah, that's one of the disadvantages that countries like us have of not being in like a central training system, because for them and other countries that have that system, they have like, it's kind of like a ramp up period, and each part of the season has a different type of training. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
That's interesting. Can you talk about the differences between the UK and the country that you ended up in? Like, what was the biggest cultural difficulty, for example?
Well, first of all, the fact I didn't speak any German was a bit difficult.
Yeah. But the Germans in general speak English so well, especially.
Yeah, their English is really good, but a lot of them will just speak to German to me anyway. and like I'll come in and they'll just talk at me in German until I understand a little tiny bit, as their way of like getting me to try and learn. Which is fun, but like after like 3 months of not having a clue what they're saying, it gets a bit tiring, and you're like, I'm not in the mood today. Just please talk English. I mean, I am trying to learn some German, but yeah, it's not the easiest of languages to learn. And then like stuff
I can
like
actually send you.
supermarkets.
I can actually send you some lessons for that, but we'll talk about that after the conversation is over.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, the supermarkets are the same, but a little bit different. Like we have Aldi and Lidl in England, but it's just like the products are a bit different. And like when I first got there, like I just had the translator out for everything, so I had no idea what anything was. And like you could see, obviously, you could tell the difference between beef and chicken, but like I didn't really know what it was. Yeah. So that took a bit of getting used to, but I was super lucky that I lived like a 5-minute walk away from training, so like my life was really easy. I mean, it still is easy, but before this lockdown happened, it was the easiest life ever. Just woke up half an hour before training, had breakfast, and left. It was great.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah, so it was pretty easy. Compared to living in London for me was like, maybe if I lived next to training, it would have been all right, but I had uni, I had a 45-minute train journey to get to training every day, and like spending an hour and a half getting to and from training, and like having uni all day, not getting home till like 10:30, and you eat dinner really late.
It's a grind.
And then you've got to be up early for uni. Like all of it was just like hard.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm just gonna have a year off, just go to Germany and just like focus on fencing and like relaxing. You know what I mean? Like still doing all the stuff I was doing in London. Just, I mean, I not dropped out of uni, but deferred a year off uni, and it's been great. It's been so relaxed. There's no like pressure or stress on me, so I think that was like one of the big cultural changes as well.
Yeah, fantastic. What about you, Barney? How different was Hungary from the UK?
Very different. The cultural difference between the UK and Hungary is enormous. Obviously, the same thing as Will about the language barrier. Hungarian is nothing like any other language, really.
I'd argue it's a million times harder than German.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, a lot of the coach, the national coach and the coaches at Bashash basically spoke no English whatsoever. So, sort of, you know, feel like sessions having to figure it out based on my basic, you know, knowledge of numbers of 1, 2, and 3. I was basically just following everyone else. That, you know, kind of got used to it. Was definitely difficult at the start. I guess living away from home the first time and living by myself was one of the biggest differences for me. But I coped all right. Not too bad.
How did you find living on your own? Because for me, I much preferred it, but it's not for everyone.
I liked it. Definitely. I guess it helped that I had Nick and McDougall out there as well, so I did have contact with British people, and it wasn't just me. Otherwise, I felt like I would have got pretty lonely, to be honest. Yeah, apart from that.
Nice. Will, you said you deferred school for a year so you could train for the Olympics. Now that the Olympics have been pushed back, how has that affected things?
Honestly, I have no idea. I haven't spoken to my uni. The guy who was like in charge of sport texted me a few days ago, and I forgot to reply to him. So I probably just will defer again, and maybe just keep deferring until fencing's done. I don't know. We'll see. I've only got 1 more year left, so it seems stupid to drop out. If I've done 2 years and gone into £20,000 of debt, it's not worth dropping out.
Yeah, totally.
So I might as well finish it at this point, but I don't know. Doing 2 years on, having 2 years off of not doing like any school at all, and then going back just to finish the last year is going to be hard.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But that's why I want to do it when like the fencing pressure's done, because then I can still fence, but it's not like the number one priority.
Right, exactly. Not like it is during an Olympic year.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I wish I would deferred again this year. I was put for my last season as a junior, because it's kind of, I didn't really get the results that I wanted. I should have taken the punt, taken another year off instead of going uni, but never mind.
My advice to most people would be take a gap year anyway. Like a lot of people rush into, they finish school and just go straight to like college or university again afterwards, and I couldn't recommend more for yourself just having a year off. I think I had 2 or 3 years off before I went to uni, then did uni for 2 years, and now I'm having another 2 off, and it works for me. I'll be old when I finish uni, but I have stuff to show for it. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I feel the same way. When I went into school, I didn't take a gap year. I was not a good fencer, so I wouldn't have done it for that reason. But when I went into school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I feel like I almost wasted the first year that I was there trying to just, I don't know, try a bunch of things and pick something. And I mean, I guess that's part of the college experience, but my dad always says that a lot of the decisions that you make are based on social pressures you feel because other people expect you to do them. And I mean, he always, like, towards the end of my career, when I was trying to decide if I wanted to do another year or quit and start a job, he's like, if you're like torn between one of those two, just keep fencing, because you may feel all this pressure to get a job and like start your life. He's like, but I guarantee you most of your friends would kill to be in the position that you're in. And I think it's really important to remember that you're your own person, you're doing your own stuff, and that you need to make your decisions for your own reasons, not because other people are doing something.
Yeah, 100%. Before I had my gap years, I was signed to go to university and do aerospace engineering. And then, 6 months later, I was like, why am I doing that? I was like, I don't want to go to uni anyway. And then because training's pretty boring. Like, if you're just training every day and doing nothing else, you train for 5 hours a day, but you've still got, 8-9 hours where you've got nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I taught myself to code then, and I was like, oh, actually, I'm going to go study computer science. I might as well. I enjoy doing it. So I wouldn't have made that decision. I'd probably be stuck being an aerospace engineer now. Probably wouldn't have enjoyed that very much.
Yeah.
It's an expensive mistake to make as well, if you rush into it. Because I don't know how expensive it is in the US, but it's 10 grand that is wasted.
Yeah.
A year. If you get
it can be quite a bit more expensive than that.
Yeah.
We kind of have to choose before we go to university what we want to do. Because I feel like the US schools, like, you can kind of be open. You just choose a school and you can kind of be open about what you're going to study.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is where it's different. So a lot of kids here, you don't even have the time to choose. You just pick a subject and you're stuck with it for 3 years, or you spend 10 grand to change your mind.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So to people who they feel like they're not improving, they feel like their coach just doesn't, like, the style just doesn't work for them, what advice would you give to someone like that who wants to change their location because of their fencing?
I'd say do it. Even if you only get a couple of things out of the different place and a different coach, those are a couple of things that can be added to your fencing. You can only improve through getting someone else to look at your fencing.
Yeah, exactly. And if you change and it doesn't work out, at least then it hasn't worked out, and you can go, okay, well, I made that decision, it didn't work out for me. Rather than if you stay, like, these are my two decisions. Were like, do I go or do I stay and finish this in England? And if I stayed in England for a year and didn't get any better and stayed where I was like, what a waste of a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought, at least if I go away and I don't get better, at least then I know I've tried.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and then I went away and got better, and so I was like, well, it was definitely the right decision. But
I don't want to look back and think, what if?
Yeah, exactly.
With the position that I'm in now, having not taken the second year out to train, I'm now thinking I should have definitely done that. Yeah, I definitely recommend that everyone does it. So.
Nice. And what would you say to people who are confident it's the right decision but are scared of the implications of going somewhere, like are just too nervous to switch countries?
I'd say speak to the people who are there as well. I don't know many people that wouldn't be very welcoming. That's definitely what helped me make my decision. Like, I spoke to the German guys and I was like, what do you guys think of this decision? Like, this is what I want to do. First of all, like, do you think it will help me if I come? And then, or if they had said no, I obviously would have been like, well, why not? But obviously I said yes. And then I was like, and secondly, if I come, like, am I either going to help you or, like, I don't know, like, somehow I don't want to just be taking from this experience. I also want to help you guys out. So maybe for the German guys, it was like they've got an extra person to spar with at a training session, or someone who's not one of their junior guys who still comes all the time, you know. So really speaking to the people who are there, like, that helps a lot.
And you too?
I mean, it's the same thing. I had contacts out there, which made it a lot easier to make the decision whether to go or not. I can't remember what the question was now, but
yeah. I mean, it sounds like you guys are both saying make sure that you have something set up and some people that you know there, so that it doesn't feel like you're moving to a different planet, basically.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, definitely.
You just need have someone you can contact there, like even if you're down or whatever, you've got someone you can speak to there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important. Just one person, and even like you haven't got to be their best friend. You haven't got to like spend every second with them. Just someone like if you're not enjoying training or like something isn't right, you can speak to and like address any problems or you know, just tell them how you're feeling.
They can also just help you get acclimated too.
Exactly. There are so many people that will do that. There are very, very few people. Like, you might be scared of talking to them. Like, I was scared of a lot of the German guys before because, you know, they're, like, such a tight squad. And when you look at them from the outside, like, they're these crazy, like, big German guys, you know what I mean? But, like, outside of fencing, that's honestly some of the nicest people I've ever met. So don't be afraid to talk to people.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I know also that in this day and age, you mentioned how like going through the grocery store with your translator app out. Back when I was traveling, that wasn't a thing. Like there were no smartphones, and there was no, like you had to have a book with you if you wanted to do something like that. So the barrier, like that's not as much of a barrier as it used to be. So.
No, exactly, and you can like the text to speech stuff is or like the speech to speak stuff is really good as well. Like all the Chinese guys use it.
Yeah.
If you go there and do anything, they always use it back and forwards. And like, if you're really stuck in, like, there's been a few times where I've been stuck in Germany and I've just used it, and it's been a lifesaver. So,
yeah. The coolest thing I think is there's like the Google Translate. You can take a picture of something and it'll translate all the words on the page into English, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's the one I use the most.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So the last thing I would ask is, have you guys had like an epiphany or revelation about your fencing that has really helped you improve a lot?
Going to Germany just gave me a lot of confidence, which is more what I needed, like confidence in all the actions, and like fencing's obviously such a mental sport as well as a physical one.
Yeah.
And just going there and like training with these guys gave me like a bit more confidence in like the actions I took, and like belief that there was no one who I couldn't beat. And like obviously it's been shown in the results I've had the last few competitions, like beating some good names, whereas normally I probably would have just not had the confidence in myself and just like been beaten because they're who they are. So yeah, just the confidence of it all.
You beat Yakomenko this season, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And Yakomenko, Daryl beat one of the German guys who in training I never beat. But just like competitions, just like a different like.
Yeah, totally.
You just got to have complete belief in yourself, and training with the German guys and having that like sharp feelings. That's what I had.
Yeah, there. In my opinion, there's nothing you'll ever regret more than at 14-14 knowing what the right action to do is and just being too scared to do it, and confidence helps a lot with that. So. For sure,
yeah.
Yeah, no doubt the confidence thing. Kind of being able to train in a more competitive atmosphere than the one that I previously had meant that I had to focus a lot more and sort of train that confidence. Sort of artificial confidence that you can have on piste. Definitely help the results. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and one more thing I just thought of. How are you guys staying in shape during the quarantine?
I'm not.
I got pretty lucky where, like, the day before they completely locked down the country and said, like, you're not allowed to leave or anything, I went to the fencing club because I knew it was going to shut, or, like, it already shut. I said, like, oh, can I just take all the weights? And they were like, yeah, sure, we're not going to use them, we're shutting. So I took, like, a barbell, like, nearly 100 kilos of weights. And then I got home and I just bought a squat rack. It was like £60 online. So I have everything I need, really. And I'm quite lucky with where I live. Like, I've got a lot of space. Like, I can run, I can cycle or whatever. So all I'm missing is the fencing. You know, like, it sounds obvious, but that's all I'm missing. Like, the physical stuff, like, I'm not really too worried because I have a gym here, so it's all right for me.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great.
Even if I didn't have a gym, there's so many, like, circuits you can do in the confines of your house and stuff, and you just gotta, it's just, don't take this as a complete holiday because there are other people out there who aren't.
Right, exactly.
You don't want to go back. Yeah, and just realise, like, especially for me, I don't want to come back and like, oh yeah, I'm really fat now. Like, so.
Yeah, I know on Instagram people are posting stuff like almost. There are some groups that post things almost daily, like I don't know, 15-minute workouts or something like that. So if you're ever getting bored of your thing, I mean, other fencers are posting their workouts, so there's some variety that you can have. Do either of you guys want to say anything else before we end?
No, thanks for having us on
I
here.
think so. No, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to talk to me about this. I know that this is something, maybe not directly switching countries, but this is something that a lot of people struggle with. Is the club that I'm at the right one? Am I even in the right place to do this? So hopefully somebody watching this will, take some confidence from some of the things that you said, and maybe it'll help them out a lot. So.
Yeah, and speak to the people around you as well. Like, maybe if I had gone back and done things differently, there are a few things I would have changed. Like, I didn't necessarily tell everyone until I'd already made the decision. It wouldn't have changed. Like, speaking to them wouldn't have changed my decision, but just so that they weren't in the dark, like that kind of thing. Like, be respectful of your teammates and club mates before you make the decision.
Yeah, and the last thing I would say about it is don't make the decision hastily. Like, make sure that you're well set up in whatever place you do. It's not something you should do impulsively. Like, think it through well.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, thanks so much, guys.
Right. Yeah, thanks a lot, mate. No worries.
Brilliant. Thank you.